Hello and welcome back to the Toffee Blues YouTube channel, your source for all things Everton. My name's Thomas, joined again by Paul McAllister. Today, we're going to be talking about a rumour that's kind of come out of nowhere in the past couple of days, but doesn't seem to be going anywhere quickly. This is going to be one of our Should We Sign videos, and this is for James Rodriguez. Of course, there's always been speculation, maybe a couple of months ago, whether we were interested, nothing concrete. All of a sudden, the other night, it kind of bursts out onto the scene. Talks about coming out saying we're in for him, then you still don't really believe that. But then when, journalists like Alan Myers comes out, the Telegraph came out and said that we're interested in him. Clearly something's happened from the club. Someone's tipped them off towards something. Very exciting. We definitely need transfers happening soon. So here to talk all about, where we think he'll fit into the squad. Do we think it's going to be good value for money? Kind of how excited we are really, and do we really see it happening? Of course, it is all speculation. At the time of recording, it is, let me just check the date here, it's Friday the 28th of August. So at the moment, no one's signed yet. It's all still speculation, all still paper talk, but we're going to get straight into it now. Paul, just kind of your early thoughts really, when this news kind of broke the other night, what was your kind of initial reaction to
it? When the news broke, when it was, I was really excited, to be honest, because when the Telegraph break it, that gives it a bit of legitimacy, because they're not usually known for being absolutely, completely wrong on a transfer. When James Rodriguez was first mentioned a few months back, I paid no attention to it at all. I thought, no, that's a load of rubbish. File that under the same rumour that said we were going to get Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Just like, no, that's just some bored journalist, probably who works for the Daily Mirror or the Metro, just making that up. Lazy journalism. We're not going to sign James Rodriguez. But it's come back with a vengeance, hasn't it, that rumour? And some credible people are saying that conversations are happening. Rodriguez, he's a player who I think has been underrated for a lot of years. He had that great World Cup in 2014, got his big move to Real Madrid, and he was a big player for Real Madrid for a couple of years. It was really when Zidane came in the first time that his career kind of levelled off a little bit. Clearly, Zidane just doesn't fancy him for whatever reason. He didn't play under him. Then when Zidane left the first time, he got back in a little bit. I don't know, believe it or not, he was on loan at Bayern Munich. I'm thinking
Ancelotti, that was the second
Ancelotti, I'm thinking of, yeah. Ancelotti, those first two seasons that Ancelotti was at Real Madrid, obviously they won the Champions League the first time, and then the second season, he didn't win anything, and Ancelotti ultimately ended up getting sacked. But he was a big player for that Real Madrid team, and he played a little bit under Benitez as well, when Benitez was there for a couple of months. It was when Zidane came in mid-season that his career kind of tailed off, and he ended up having to go on loan to Bayern Munich for 2 seasons. Did well at Bayern Munich, all things considered. I mean, he wasn't an automatic starter every single game, but he came in and he played his part and he chipped in with a good amount of goals and assists, and he seemed to suit the system, but it just looked like Bayern Munich didn't want to pay the money that Real Madrid were asking for, and Rodriguez himself was probably hoping to get another crack at the whip at Real, so he didn't force the issue. I know he's getting up there in age now. He's 29, I think. He's going to turn 30 next season when it starts. But a player like that, when they come along and they seem like they're really hungry, I don't think you can turn your nose up at them, especially when you're in Everton's position where we don't have any match winners in our side, seemingly. And he is a match winner when he's on form and he's fully fit. So, player like that, and he seems keen to come because he works for Ancelotti, and he's always played well under Ancelotti. One of his seasons at Bayern was when Ancelotti was there. So if there's any manager who can get a tune out of him, it seems to be Carlo. So I'm all for it. And obviously the deal's got to be right with the money. I don't just believe in spending stupid amounts on him. We can't just give him whatever he wants and paying stupid transfer fees to Real. But if the deal can make sense financially and Carlo can convince everybody around the club that he can get something out of him, then I'm all for backing Carlo, whatever Carlo thinks is best, because we've backed managers before on certain players and it's worked. Martinez, not a fan of him, but he was adamant that we should get someone like Gareth Barry. And Gareth Barry turned out to be a great player, and he was up there in age and people had the reservations about him, and he proved everybody wrong. I'm all for it. If we can get Rodriguez in and he seems like he really wants to come, and Carlo believes that he's still got something to offer and he's not past it, then let's get it going. And I will say this as well, he's South American, and one thing you can always say about South American players is they don't just come to sit around and have an easy life. It just doesn't seem to be in them, or at least no South American I've seen play in this country. Every South American who comes over, whether they're good, bad, or terrible, they always seem to give it 110%, no matter what age they are and no matter what club they're at. So that's something that I would expect from Rodriguez if he comes. I know he's had his injury issues, but if he can stay fit, then I think we could be on for a really, really good player here.
Yeah, clearly Ancelotti's very keen on him. I agree with most of the things he said there. This would be the third time that Ancelotti signed him. He clearly knows how to get the best out of him. I think it was when he first went to Real Madrid under Ancelotti, he was in the La Liga team of the season for that year. Zidane comes in, doesn't like him. Ancelotti brings him back to Bayern, does quite well at Bayern, but then they decide to take it in a different direction because that was when Niko Kovac came in, I think.
Yeah.
And he wanted to start bringing in players like Gnabry, who were very young at the time. And they didn't really see Rodriguez as fitting in. So, and if you've got a loan player and you've got young players coming through, it's incredibly beneficial to play those young players. Sorry, the loan player is not going to be there permanently. He can't be unhappy, whatever, because he's going back in a year or whatever it was. So, he did well at Bayern Munich, but now he's gone back to Real Madrid again, and he hasn't really kicked on from there because Zidane clearly doesn't like him. But I'm a massive fan, to be fair. I think he adds so much quality. I can't believe there are certain fans that are turning their nose up. But I get it for the injury record. He has struggled at times with injuries, and don't get me wrong, that plays a massive part. But even if you can have him for a certain amount of the season, he clearly has a lot of quality. Okay, maybe his pace isn't there. He's not the quickest player, which we can struggle with sometimes in our team, but technical ability on the ball, he'd be unmatched in our squad easily. And if he's very keen on coming, and Carlo really wants him, I think it's a no-brainer for me. What we do have to talk about is where do we kind of see him fitting into the system. Of course, Carlo's kind of favoured the 4-4-2. Does Rodriguez really fit into that? Probably not. He can play off the right, but kind of in a much further forward kind of winger role instead of a right midfielder role. He can play off the left. And he, of course, naturally is a number 10. Do you see him kind of fitting into that system, or do you see this kind of going to be a signal for maybe a system change, different tactics to get the most out of a player like Rodriguez?
I think it's going to be a system change. It's just which system is it going to be? Are we going to go back to the old 4-2-3-1, or are we going to play a more conventional 4-3-3 and have him kind of as like in the free role of the middle three with, assuming these players come in, assuming with Allen and Takore either side of him. I would prefer to see the 4-3-3 personally. I'm not a fan of the 4-2-3-1 formation. I think it's at its day, and I don't really think it would suit the players we've got. It would get the best out of most of them. I'd like to see the 4-3-3 given a go. If he comes in with Rodriguez, then I do think you need to play him centrally. I'd like to see him in that middle three with sort of the creative role of that. I mean, as you said, he can play further forward and kind of the inside right forwards position. I do think we would get some use out of him if we put him out there, but I think I'd like to see someone like Richarlison put out there, or Moise Kean with Dominic Calvert-Lewin as the kind of the spearhead, the number 9. I'd love a 4-3-3 with Richarlison on the left, Moise Kean on the right, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin through the middle with Rodriguez and whoever the 2 new midfielders are in the middle. Love to see that. And obviously we use our squads. We've got the likes of Gomez, who can come in when he's needed. We've got Iwobi, because Iwobi looks like he's not going to be going anywhere anytime soon. He could probably come in and contribute over the course of the season. Maybe Walcott, if he stays fit, he can be an option off the bench. So I am liking the sounds of what I'm hearing, that Rodriguez and a few others are going to come in and just totally change the entire dynamic of the team. We're going to have a big change of formation, a change of style, a change of attitude, hopefully, as well, because what we saw last season, that 4-4-2 that Carlo was using with the players that we've got, Sigurdsson and Davis, no, it's not going to cut it. We go in using that formation, using mostly those players, we're not going to qualify for Europe next season, in my opinion. We'll be lucky to finish top half even. And Carlo's not coming here to do that. Carlo's coming here to try and build something and really take us back towards where we want to be. And signing players like Rodriguez and changing our style of play is what we need to be doing, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Clearly, Carlo's trying to kind of bring in players into the squad that he trusts, characters that he knows can improve the mentality. He's kind of already spoken about kind of the attitude of the club needs to change. He said the club needs to evolve. Allen is clearly a player that he's looking to bring in who and there'll be a scout report on the channel where I spoke to an Italian football journalist, Richard Hall, and he was telling me at first when Alan kind of left Udinese to go to Napoli, he wasn't a big character. He's really moulded into that. Napoli was Ancelotti was a big fan of him when he was at Napoli, clearly trying to bring him in. And same with Rodriguez now. It says a lot about a player that the manager is trying to sign him for the third time. He clearly has that much trust in him. And for an experienced manager like Ancelotti, I completely trust him. In terms of the system, I can't really tell what he'll do, to be honest, because the club have kind of been quite vocal about looking for a player that can play on the right who's left-footed, which is Rodriguez, but he's not a winger. I don't think he's quick enough to be a winger. But there is also the rule in Ancelotti's kind of 4-4-2 that we have seen, starting off the left, which he can do, but that kind of Bernard role where he kind of drifts into the middle, I think that would probably suit him a lot as well. Depends really, would he, because in the defensive kind of aspect, how much would he offer on that left-hand side? I'm not too sure, but he does seem like a hard worker. His attitude, it's never really been questioned by kind of managers. It's definitely not a lack of motivation, which has been a problem. Maybe just not really fitting into a system. It's been and his injuries, of course, here and there. But I think it's a player that we definitely should bring in. Yes, he's 29, but at 29, he's a character that Ancelotti likes a lot. He brings a winner mentality. We talk about winner mentality, and last season we were talking about the winner mentality come from Fabian Delph. This season we're talking about it come from James Rodriguez. It really is. That's the difference in a year, which is definitely pleasing to see. And players like, him and Alan are 29, but the experience they bring, the attitude they bring, definitely needed in the squad. It is a transfer speculation at the end of the day. We have to kind of talk about money, have to talk about, what kind of deal we're after. When it first broke, there was rumours it was going to be a loan until he was free next summer because he's got 1 year left on his contract. Then all of a sudden it was he's going to agree a 3-year contract on a permanent deal. Some saying Real Madrid want 7.7 million, others saying they want 25, which would be a ridiculous amount of money. What kind of deal are you looking for? Are you kind of the camp of loan and then get him on a free, or are you looking at let's get him in now for a low fee, but we're going to have him permanently for 3 years? And kind of, if it is a permanent, kind of how much money what's kind of the absolute maximum you'd be looking to spend on a player like James?
The ideal scenario would be a loan for the first year and then get him for free next summer, but I just don't see that happening because Real Madrid are just notorious for wanting transfer fees for players who they've got absolutely no use for. I mean, look what happened with Gareth Bale last year. His deal to China was all but done. All he had to do was fly over there and start. But at the very last minute, they pulled the plug on it because they decided they actually wanted a fee for him. They weren't happy just to get his wages off the book. They wanted an actual transfer fee as well. And never happened. China pulled out and he ended up staying there with Zidane when neither one of them was happy about it. Zidane didn't want him. He didn't want to play under Zidane. But they were basically just left stuck with each other because whoever runs the transfers over there, whether it's Perez, the president, or whether it's someone else, they just ended up arsing about on the deal and not letting it go through for what was initially agreed. So I don't think Real Madrid are going to just let us loan him and then get him for free next summer. They're not that way inclined. They're going to want any dough they can squeeze out of us, they're going to go for. I've seen rumours that, it's going to be tens of millions of euros for James. No, I wouldn't want him for that. Do you know what I mean? I mean, don't get me wrong. If he was 5 years younger, then yeah, you would pay that. But for a player who's near 30 and in the last year of his contract, you can't be playing silly money. Even if you've got silly money to spend, it's just not good business at the end of the day. That's not why Brands was brought in. Brands was brought in to get everyone's house in order and to balance the books. So how much money would I be willing to spend on him? It's hard to say. It's what does Carlo think he'll add to the squad? Does Carlo think he's going to be worth 10 extra points a season for us? Then, okay, I'd pay upwards of 10 million. But if he's just going to come in and we're not too sure, Carlo thinks he's going to be good, but we don't know what his injuries are like. We can't be paying silly money. We just can't be. In terms of his wages, I think it's a given. He'd be made the highest earner at the club. I've got no problem with that. But if we're going to give him a big contract, then we're probably definitely going to need a player who's on a big contract to go out the door if we're going to do any more transfer business after that. So an ideal way would be we get rid of Sigurdsson for a couple of million and get his wages gone, and then we can give those wages to Rodriguez. But who knows? But in short, basically, yeah, I'm happy to see Gomez come in. we're not going to pay stupid money for him because brands won't allow us to, no matter how much Ancelotti wants him. But I still think we're going to have to pay probably more money than fans want to see us pay, because that's just the way Real Madrid are. They're always going to demand money from players they're selling, no matter how desperate they are to get them off the books, because it just seems to be what they do.
Yeah, I wouldn't be looking to spend more than 15 million on him, to be honest. Yes, he's going to be a very good player, but he is still last year of his contract, 29 years old. The ball is firmly in Everton's court, I believe, at the moment. Yes, Real Madrid are not an easy club to negotiate with, but the player clearly wants to come. And I've actually just checked my Twitter here. Everyone's gone into a spiral. James Rodriguez has just tweeted, "I'm ready," with a picture of him in the gym. So obviously Everton Twitter has just gone absolutely mental in the past 10 minutes. But that's all. That's obviously not actually guaranteeing anything at all. Yeah, I wouldn't be looking to spend more than 15 on him. I can see Real Madrid definitely want him to get him rid of him on a permanent, not waiting for the contract to run down, because it's not like they're a club that desperately need to get wages off the books. At the end of the day, they just they're not lacking money. It's not they could afford to pay him for the last year of his contract if they wanted to, but they're clearly going to want him to go on a permanent deal. I'm very keen on the deal. I definitely think we should be making it happen. Kind of the last question, and of course this is speculation. Do you see it happening?
Yes, I would say 6. No, I'll go. I think there's a 7 out of 10 chance it happens. It's not. I wouldn't say it's nailed on, but I think it would be a big blow if it doesn't happen now. Something would have to go seriously wrong for it to stop it happening now. I think, as you said, the player seems like he's ready to come. I saw on my way home that both he and Alan liked Ancelotti's latest Instagram post.
That's a classic. All the fans love that one.
That's a classic. So it seems that the player is up for coming. Carlo wants him. It's just whether they can work out the money side of it now. And Marcel Brands is a tough negotiator. Real Madrid's a tough negotiator. Hopefully they don't argue over it. Hopefully they can come in the middle and find a deal that suits both parties. I think it will happen, but I'm not rubbing my hands together with glee just yet, because at the end of the day, there's still a lot that has to be sorted out. And we know from Real Madrid's point of view, transfers can basically get down to the final thing. All you've got to do is just get a pen out and sign the contract, and it can still fall through at that stage. We saw that with Gareth Bale last summer.
Yeah, definitely. I think I personally can see the deal happening now. All parties seem, wanting it to happen. It's not like the club don't want to get rid of him. It's not like he doesn't want to come. It's a perfect marriage, really, which is the same for the Haaland situation. Player wants to play under Ancelotti. Napoli want rid of him. Everton want him. These are two deals which clearly everyone's involved in, and that's positive to see, because we've seen far too many times we've kind of chased players, like Højbjerg or like Gabriel, where not all the parties have been interested. But at the moment, it seems like everyone wants to make the deal happen. We'll have to see. I wouldn't be surprised if we have to get rid of someone like Balassi and Sandro first, because it is going to be high wages. And I'd imagine getting rid of Balassi and Sandro might even just be James Rodriguez's wage, to be honest. But that's all speculation. We don't actually know how much those players are on. But he might take a pay cut. I think he's on about 200,000 a week at Napoli, which is obviously a lot of money and maybe not something we'll be looking to spend. But he might take a pay cut before he comes. But that's all from me. Paul, have you got anything to add kind of before we round off this video?
No, just I agree with what you said. It seems like everyone involved wants it to happen. It doesn't feel like we're being strung along like we were with other transfer targets we were after that haven't happened. So I really hope that this time next week, James Rodriguez is on Merseyside holding up a Everton scarf and he's signed for the club. And we finally got that sort of big name Hollywood superstar footballer come to the club. The type of signing that we've been desperate to make for years.
Yeah, I agree. So let us know down in the comments what you think about this. Would you be looking to make this deal happen? If so, what kind of deal? A loan or permanent? If a permanent, how much would you spend? And of course, where do you see him really fitting into the system? Of course, being obviously we usually play a 4-4-2. None of those positions actually being James's kind of number 10 role. But do let us know in the comments down below. Thanks to Paul for coming on. Thank you all very much for watching. Check out everyone's social media and join us next time on the Toffee Blues.